So today my goal is to share ideas about some resources and strategies you might use to help you keep in touch with people that you're wanting to develop relationships with. Why might you want to do that? Well, I want to give an example, and he's not in the room right now, but I wanted to use him. When we meet people, they're getting to know us. Hopefully they're going to get to like us, and most importantly, they need to trust us before we want to do business with them. I'm going to give an example of Bob Zangus. Anybody that knows Bob, I find him very easy to not just like, but love and trust and have a relationship with. But what if I don't need his services? I met him, I really liked him, but he didn't stay connected with me. I might forget him when my parents or my grandparents need help. So to me, keeping in touch with people is really important. We don't always meet at the intersection of when someone can do business with us. So what I want to start with is you're at a business meeting, and I call it my keep in touch system, so I'm just going to share what I do. When we start conversations, I think asking questions is one of the best ways to build relationships, not to show up and use the term throw up on people about what we do, which happens a lot. Somebody's so excited about their business. I find I do that myself too. If somebody asks me too many questions, I'm going to jump into the stories about Gateway to Dreams. But what is really important is the questions I can ask that you start sharing with us or with me. And I don't know how many might remember this book. It was, I think, written in the 80s, but it was updated in 2005. But Swim with the Shark. Harvey Mackay had 66 things you should know about your client or your prospect. And so when I meet people, I kind of listen for all kinds of things, like, are they a runner? Are they into animals? I happen to be an animal freak. A sports team, maybe it's not the St. Louis team, but I try to listen for what they talk about, what matters to them. And I also am not concerned about them taking my card. In fact, I'm a natural connector, but I really care less about you getting my card. I'm more concerned, as Lori Feldman, the database diva, talks about, she goes out, she doesn't always even bring cards because in order to build a relationship, she takes control of putting them in her database. She takes control of not losing them because once she has them, we can't count on Heidi calling me because Heidi may not remember what she did with the card for me. So being less concerned about getting cards or giving cards, but getting them is part, to me, of building the start of a keep in touch system. When you get them, a lot of them with the printing, you can't always write on them. So sometimes I'll take a little Post-it note and put it on the card, or I'll clip it to a 3x5 card. And oh, I'm moving. That's not where I wanted to be right now. But I'm sorry?
You're going to point to the, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to move it now anyway because I was off. Okay. So it's a good thing I don't know what I'm doing. The other thing is when we meet people, what category do they go in? Do they go in, like for me, I have a lot of different things I love to be involved in, but when you bring it back and you put it in your database, what do you want them under? Bobby Linkenmeyer and I wrote a book called Context, Connections, and Collaboration, and we interviewed people all over. And one of the people we interviewed is a gifted photographer named Sarah Petty. Like, she is one of the most successful photographers in the world. She's actually has written a book and does workshops on the joy of marketing. And these are her categories. She starts with a client or business associate, someone that could be a co-marketing partner, friends and family. Mistakes, I liked that one. Have you ever had somebody that you messed up on and then it just seemed like you kept messing up with? She puts them in a category she calls mistakes because she wants to give them extra love. Spouses contacts because she wants to send out holiday cards. She's a photographer and people literally look for her card every year because they're always so amazing. Prospects, anyone who has responded to their marketing. Something that she calls temp prospects. She doesn't know if these are going to be people that she will market to or not, but she keeps them in a different category. VIPs, we all know who our VIPs are. Media, the importance of developing a relationship with media. A fellow photographer, part of our, for any of us that are in an industry where we, like if you're a coach, the coaching community. If you're in HR, maybe other HR people. She mentors high school students and college kids, so she has a category for that. And then she has other groups. For myself, I also have like an animal lover category, speakers, coaches, authors. I love working with people that are experts in their field. And then you have the question of what CRM are you using to keep in touch with people? Are you using a spreadsheet? I actually can't use a spreadsheet because I can't do technology like that. But I like Hatchbuck. It's a local company here. I don't know how many of you might know Don Breckenridge. He actually has made it available for our nonprofit. But there's Salesforce and Zoho is free for people to use. And there's tons of other ones. I used to use ACT. But what are you putting it in? What is the database? For me too, in my database, I have to put where I met you. Because Lisa, if I can't remember, if I see your name and I can't put where we met, I might not remember who she was. So for me, a trigger has always been, oh, I met them here. And then you use your categories that you want to use. Let's see here. What do you do after an event? After you've attended something? Sorry. Yeah, no, I need help, but you can't help me. Nobody can help. You know, I also want to mention what email program are you going to use, and Tom's not here today, but Marketful. You know, he's big on segmenting where that is going to go, where your email is going to go. What social media are you going to use? We've got Karen the Connector. We share that name actually, Karen Fox. But, and as an aside, I've had incredible, for me, mind-blowing success with Facebook Messenger. I think people now have tens of thousands of emails. They've got, you know, their voicemails and all these others. And Facebook Messenger, maybe people aren't as inundated with that, so I get a great response with that. But you've gotten a business card because you went ahead and you know, took that on yourself. You might want to go through them, and who did you have the strongest connection with? Does anybody else in the room feel it when you just start, you know, like I can remember meeting a woman, Sherry Tinnen, and she's in HR. And in our first conversation, I asked her about a book I love, The Dream Manager. I don't know how many in the room have read the book, but it is an amazing book about building a company where the employees' dreams matter. And she immediately, like, oh my God, I love that book. And we were like, kind of in love with each other. We got so excited. Now we're collaborating on projects together. To me, those are the ones that would have been at the top of my list just because she was in line with something that I do. Look at the notes you've made. Is there anything you need to follow up on? I will take that time too to look at Facebook for the ones that I've had the hottest connection with and reach out to be a friend with them. And you want to enter them in your database, but you don't have to be the one to do it. You can use a virtual assistant, or you might have somebody that you work with. I've even hired somebody on Craigslist once where they did data entry for me. But reach out to them, follow up with them. And one of the other things about staying in touch is I'll read an article and I'll clip it and mail it to someone because it pertains to something they're interested in. Those are other ways that I use to keep in touch. The last thing I wanted to share, and then I want to ask you guys how you keep in touch, is I don't know about you, but there's the box. We have something that I call my keep in touch or keep connected box. And in it, if it's in the car, I have my extra cards. But it also has, I don't know how many of you might know Debbie Champion. She's an attorney here in St. Louis, and she always has note cards with her. She is always, I'll be in a meeting with her, and when there's a lull, she's got a card out and she's sending it to somebody. People feel so connected to her. But there's things in here that can help you with making sure you keep your information, and then when you put your cards in here, they're not in the bottom of the purse or the coat jacket, but they're in something in your car. I want to say that John, a keep in touch method John is using, John, I don't know, I got to do the microphone thing, but you talked about it, I think last month at the meeting, What are you doing with people? You're reaching out and inviting them to walk with you. And what is that doing for you to build and keep in touch with people?
Yeah, so last year I started something brand new to use as a marketing tool to just get new business leads. I love to hike in the woods, and so I started a walk in the woods with business owners. So I just approached a dozen more people last year to walk at Forest Park with me, and I asked them to dedicate 60 to 90 minutes and take a walk with me in the woods. I can do a trail or meet them at Forest Park, but I don't play golf, so it's a perfect way for me to connect one-on-one for 60 to 90 minutes with a business owner. We share each other's stories, and it's been great, and I got new business from it.
And this is a group of geniuses in the room, so what else are you doing to keep in touch? What's the time?
We got about 4 minutes.
Okay. Les, what are you doing to keep in touch with people?
So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Harvard Business Review. They put out, it's called a tip of the day. And occasionally I read that tip and there's some kind of a link to it. And it just is a kind of a flag for me to send out information to people that I want to stay in touch with. I send something out to a client. It literally takes me 2 or 3 minutes. And it allows you to stay in touch with your clients and your prospects in a way that isn't, what are you doing now? Can you tell me whether you're going to make a decision now? All of those kinds of things that we want to know, but it really helps maintain that connection.
And I actually forgot one of the biggest things that I'm going to come to Mark next, and then I don't know, Dale, was it you or was it Mark? But one of the things I do that has been kind of a hallmark part of who I am is introductions to people. I stay in touch with people because I think of who needs to meet and know someone. And you can become known as a connector when you do that. So it's really important to me that if I know 2 people could possibly be doing business, and this isn't just 2 people that I think should know each other just to know each other. It's usually really strategic. Mark.
No, one thing I like to do is a couple people know in here I like to network is just invite people to events where I'm going. Say, hey, if you happen to want to do some networking here, some places I'm going, feel free to join me. Like next Monday, Jim, where am I going to be?
Business development team.
Exactly. So yesterday I invited someone to join us there. She's even here today. So you just never know.
Well, and Mark also, to keep in touch with people, he puts on his own networkathons. I mean, that's a great way for him to keep in touch and meet new people. Ned, were you just scratching your head? Or couldn't tell there. It went back to scratching.
You may be dressed a bit. I use LinkedIn extensively now for this kind of stuff, and I also just meet with people, talk with people, do that all kinds of. I go back and I find who haven't I talked to in a long time and make a phone call or send them an email, whatever, set something up. But LinkedIn is great, and the nice thing about LinkedIn is when you find out that somebody needs somebody, then you can connect them both on LinkedIn in a message and introduce them to one another. In fact, I think I've introduced somebody to Karen, and I do that all the time. It's a really good way. Both parties appreciate it. And what's weird is because you sent the message, you stay in the link, so you can see if they're actually still talking to each other and whether or not they set up a meeting or began speaking offline or whatever, which is nice to know, right? So that's a nice thing.
And go over there, and then Richard. One of the other things is I've done that on Facebook. And then the way it works for me on Facebook is I kind of get to plug 2 people. And so it builds, some more warm fuzzies. What about your idea?
Yeah, so I do something a little bit differently on my LinkedIn as well and social media stuff, but I do what I call a day of recognition, where I highlight someone that I've connected with that I really liked, like Dale was one of them recently, and I just give a short video synopsis of why I like that person, how we connected, and things about them that make them unique on why people should connect with them. And I've had great success in highlighting others.
I'm going to borrow that one. I love that one.
I encourage anyone to do it in my videos to do that.
Hey, Richard, we just got a minute left.
I have kind of 2 systems. One for people I network with. I always send a thank you note for meeting, and then I'll send a week later a little booklet. Either it's Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar or something.
How many
like
in
that.
the room remember getting that for you?
The other thing I do with my clients, and when I meet with them, I send them a note right away through send out cards. So thank you for the opportunity. to meet with you and discuss your project. The second thing that I'll do is if we sign the contract, then I'll thank them again with another send out cards, and then at the end of the project, I will send them a before and after pictures and thank them
Oh, I
for
love
it
that.
as well. And then on an annual basis, I send out cards that I actually have them as children's names. It's like Kitchen Smith, and I'll send a note and I'll say, hope you're enjoying your kitchen. It's been a year since we've been there, blah, blah, blah. And then every year after that, I
He's
repeat.
really good at this. He's really, and we didn't mention send out cards, but birthdays are real, as you get older, people, maybe you don't make as much of a fuss, but who doesn't like to get a personalized card? I want to go back to something Mark said. I know I'm out of time, but this is an E for E plug. Everyone here can reach out and keep in touch with someone by inviting them to come, and just invite them. Look at the value that this opportunity, and they can come for free, and then you're the one gifting that to them. So thank you guys. And would anybody like one of those get in touch boxes, get in touch that I held up? Okay, you get it. Fastest hands. Thank you.